Good evening, my little creatures of the night. Mr. Wendigo back again, and boy, have I got a tale that'll leave you absolutely terrified of the timber tonight. Big Bend National Park, 800,000 acres of Texas wilderness, where the Chisos Mountains meet the Rio Grande, beautiful during the day, something else entirely after dark. The kind of place where cell service dies 20 miles before the trailhead, where rescue is measured in days, not hours, and where the desert and mountains keep secrets that predate the Park Service by centuries. The old ranching families who lived here before it became federal land have traditions concerning certain places. Golden Pines Lake, tucked high in the western ranges, is one of them. They know better than to camp there alone. They know better than to answer voices in the dark. They know what happens when something learns your voice so perfectly you can't tell the difference. Ranger Thomas Covington has spent 12 years patrolling Big Bend's backcountry. He's found lost hikers, treated snake bites, pulled idiots off cliffs they had no business climbing. He knows these mountains. He knows the wildlife. He thought he knew what was possible out there. Tonight, 3 people are missing near Golden Pines Lake. A family, their truck abandoned at the trailhead, their gear scattered, their last transmission wrong. And something out there in the pines is calling for help in voices that sound perfectly human. This is your late night creature feature. When you hear your own voice calling from the trees, it's already too late. Before we begin, I'm curious, where are you listening from tonight? Alone in your room? Driving through empty roads? Walking through the woods? Drop a comment and let me know. I like knowing who's out there in the dark with me. Now then, let's talk about what wears your skin in Big Bend. They wear your skin. The dispatch call came in at 6:47 p.m., right when the October sun was painting the Chisos Mountains, that particular shade of orange that makes tourists reach for their cameras and makes rangers check their gear. 3 missing, family of 3, last seen yesterday afternoon. I'd been a park ranger at Big Bend for 12 years, found plenty of lost hikers in that time, treated snake bites, wrapped ankles, talked down a few guys who thought climbing Dead Horse Canyon drunk was a great idea, pulled 2 bodies out of the desert after heat stroke, one from a fall. But families going missing together, that's different. That's never good. Thomas, you copy? Sarah's voice crackled through the radio. She'd been working dispatch for Big Bend longer than I'd been alive. Knew every trail, every danger, every stupid way people found to hurt themselves out here. Copy, Sarah. Go ahead. Got a situation at Golden Pines. Family of 3. Truck's been at the trailhead since yesterday afternoon. Amarillo PD contacted us this morning when they didn't show for checkout at their hotel. I was already moving, pulling my pack from the gear locker. IDs? David Chen, 42. Wife Michelle, 39. Daughter Sophie, 16. From Dallas. Experienced hikers according to their permits. Planned overnight at Golden Pines Lake. Back out this morning. Radio check-in stopped around 9 p.m. last night. Golden Pines Lake, pretty spot. Postcard perfect water surrounded by tall ponderosas, decent camping, easy trail access. Tourists loved it. Locals avoided it after dark, but that was true of half the backcountry out here. Old ranching families had warnings about every canyon and peak in the Chisos. Last known position? North shore of the lake. Final radio transmission was. Sarah paused. I heard papers shuffling, garbled, voices, wind, then something that didn't sound right. I'll send you the audio file. Something that didn't sound right coming from Sarah meant something. She'd heard everything over 23 years, people dying, people panicking, people discovering their hiking buddy had been bitten by a rattlesnake an hour ago and didn't mention it. I'm 20 minutes out from the trailhead, I said. Let me grab my overnight gear. Thomas? Her voice had that careful tone. The one that meant she was about to say something I wouldn't like. Golden Pines is You know what the old-timers say about that area. Yeah, I know. Every ranger knew. The Chisos Mountains had been home to people for 10,000 years before the Park Service showed up. Apache, Comanche, Spanish settlers, Anglo ranchers. Every group had places they avoided, stories they told their kids. Golden Pines Lake was on that list. Just be careful up there. Something about that place. I'll check in every hour. You better. I finished loading my pack. 72-hour supplies, even though this should be an overnight. First aid kit, water filtration, emergency shelter, satellite phone as backup to the radio. Headlamp, spare batteries, bear spray. Black bears weren't common in Big Bend, but they were around. Sidearm, which I'd only drawn twice in 12 years and never fired. My truck was a 2015 Ford Ranger with 200,000 miles and a temperament to match. It started on the third try, which was better than average. I put in a request for a new vehicle 3 years running. Budget constraints, they said. Maybe next year. The drive to Golden Pines Trailhead took 40 minutes on dirt roads that would have been impassable after rain. October was dry season. Everything was dust and brittle, grass and afternoon heat that dropped 20 degrees after sunset. The Chen family's vehicle sat alone in the small parking area, newish Toyota 4Runner, rental plates, gear visible through the windows, responsible people. They'd left their itinerary posted on the dashboard like they were supposed to. The handwriting was neat, organized. Michelle's, probably. Golden Pines Lake, 18.5 miles, North Shore camping, return 10:14. Today was October 15th. I radioed Sarah. At the trailhead. Their vehicle is here. Starting up the trail now. Should reach the lake by 2200 hours. Copy. Stay in touch, Thomas. The sun was sinking fast behind the western peaks. I switched on my headlamp and started walking. They were fresh-cut pine branches, whittled to sharp points, stuck into the ground along both sides of the trail, 7 on the left, 8 on the right, spaced in a rough line about 3 feet apart. I stopped, played my headlamp beam across them. The wood was pale where bark had been stripped away, sap still wet. Shavings scattered around the bases like someone had carved them right here, then kept moving. Deliberate, recent, human. I pulled out my phone, took photos, logged the GPS coordinates. The cell signal was already gone, happened about 4 miles back, but the location data would sync when I got back to coverage. Sarah, Covington, at mile 6, found something weird. Fresh-cut stakes along the trail. Recent work, maybe last 24 hours. Static crackled. Stakes. Pine branches carved to points, stuck in the ground. 15, maybe 20 of them. Silence on the other end. Then, could be someone marking territory, kids messing around. Maybe, but I didn't think so. The spacing was too deliberate. Too much work for a joke. Continuing to Golden Pines. I'll document everything I find. Copy that. I kept walking. My headlamp carved a tunnel through darkness that was pressing in on all sides now. The desert had that quality infinite space during the day, claustrophobic darkness after sunset. The beam showed me 10 feet of trail and nothing beyond except black. Around mile 8, I found another cluster of stakes. Same as before. Fresh pine, carved sharp, stuck deep into hard ground. Had to take real effort to drive them that far down. Then, at mile 10, something hung from a low branch about 7 feet up. A backpack, small, pastel purple with cartoon patches sewn along the zipper pulls. Disney characters, mostly. The kind a kid would pick out. I pulled it down carefully, unzipped it. Inside, trail mix in a Ziploc bag, child-sized flashlight with a cracked lens, paperback novel swollen from moisture, The Lightning Thief. Well-read, pages dog-eared. Sophie Chen, 16 years old, from Dallas. This was hers. The backpack wasn't torn or damaged, just hanging there, 7 feet up, like someone had carefully placed it. Or something had. I radioed it in. Sarah, mile 10, found a backpack hanging from a tree, matches the description of the Chen family's gear, undamaged, continuing toward the lake. Copy, Thomas. Be careful. Always am. The forest was quiet now, too quiet. I'd been hiking Big Bend long enough to know the normal soundscape: crickets, owls, small mammals moving through brush, wind in the pines. But the silence pressing in around me wasn't absence of sound. It was presence of something else. Every few minutes I'd hear movement paralleling the trail, too heavy for a raccoon, too measured for a deer, something pacing me, keeping just outside my headlamp's reach. I touched the bear spray on my belt, checked that the safety was off. At mile 13, another cluster of stakes. This time the spacing was tighter, more of them. The trail passed right through the middle like walking through a gate. My radio crackled. Thomas? Status? Mile 13, more stakes, moving toward. Static swallowed the rest. I released the talk button, tried again. Nothing but white noise. The radio had full battery, should be working fine. These mountains played hell with signals sometimes, but I was on high ground, clear line of sight back toward the ranger station. Should be working. I kept moving. At mile 16, I heard it. Faint, distant, drifting down the trail from ahead. A voice. Help. High, thin, stretched. Help me, please. Every hair on my arms stood up. I stopped walking, listened. The sound came again, wavering like it was moving through trees, bouncing off trunks and rocks. Please, somebody help. Female voice. Young. Could be Sophie Chen. Could be. I keyed my radio. Dispatch. Covington at mile 16. Possible distress call ahead. Continuing toward Golden Pines Lake. Static. Then a warped reply that sounded like Sarah's voice run through a bad speaker. Copy. Covington. You. Okay? The transmission cut out. I tried again. Nothing. The voice ahead called once more, help me, and then went silent. I walked faster. At mile 18, massive ponderosa pines crowded the trail on both sides. One of the largest had symbols gouged into the bark about chest height, fresh wounds in the wood, sap bleeding down in sticky trails. Circles intersecting with sharp angles, lines crossing other lines in patterns that looked almost runic but wrong, like someone had tried to remember sacred symbols and got them backwards. Beneath the carvings, one word scratched jagged into the bark. Run. I took photos, 3 different angles, made sure the GP. The trail opened up, and there it was, Golden Pines Lake. Black water stretched about 200 yards across, surrounded by tall ponderosas that looked silver in the moonlight. The surface was perfectly still. No wind ripples, no fish jumping, no insects skating across the top, just flat black mirror reflecting stars. Across the far shore, maybe 100 yards away, sat the ranger cabin, small emergency shelter we maintained for search and rescue operations. The door hung open, no lights inside. Evidence scattered along the north shoreline where I stood. A jacket, red hiking shell, good quality, collar torn, dark stains that might be blood, tent fabric ripped in long strips, poles bent at wrong angles. A bootman size 10, expensive brand half buried in pine needles. No bodies, no blood pools, just panic fossilized in pieces. I approached the cabin slowly, hand on the bear spray, every instinct screaming at me to turn around, go back down the trail, call for backup with real guns and real numbers. But 3 people were missing, a family. The cabin door creaked when I pushed it wider. My headlamp swept the interior. 1 room, Wood stove in the corner, cold, caught against the wall, untouched. Supply cabinet closed. Everything exactly as it should be except for the table in the center of the room. On the table, lined up heel to toe with surgical precision, 3 pairs of boots. Man's hiking boots, well worn. Woman's trail runners, barely broken in. Girl's sneakers, purple with white laces. All 3 pairs placed carefully, deliberately, like someone setting out shoes before bed. Carved deep into the wooden tabletop, the letters rough and jagged. They wear your skin. The temperature in the cabin dropped 10 degrees, or maybe that was just my blood. I backed toward the door. Outside, across Golden Pines Lake, something moved. A shape eased out of the tree line on the far shore, tall, too tall, thin in a way that didn't match any animal I'd ever seen. It moved wrong joints, bending at angles that made my brain reject what my eyes were seeing. 2 orange points glowed where eyes should be. It stood there, watching me, perfectly still. Then it opened its mouth. "Help me!" a woman's voice screamed across the water. Perfect, desperate, human. "Please, somebody help me!" The voice was Michelle Chen's. I'd listened to her final radio transmission on the drive up. I knew her voice. And that thing across the lake had just used it. I didn't think, I ran. Branches slapped my face. Roots grabbed at my boots. My headlamp beam swung wild, showing me snapshots of forest, pine trunk, boulder, gap between trees, another trunk. Behind me, something moved through the woods. Not running, walking, slow, deliberate, branches snapping under weight that shouldn't exist, the kind of movement that said it didn't need to hurry. It knew where I was going, because there was only one trail down the mountain. My radio crackled with static. Then a voice. "Thomas? Thomas, where are you?" Sarah's voice. Exactly right, except Sarah never used my first name on the radio. Always Covington or Ranger Covington. "Thomas, please respond. We're worried about you." I didn't answer, kept running. The voice changed. Male now. Calm, conversational. "Looks like a good spot to set up camp. What do you think, Michelle?" David Chen's voice. Then younger, trembling. "Dad, something feels wrong. Can we go back?" Sophie. They cycled through all 3 like a recording on loop. Perfect inflections. Perfect fear in Sophie's voice. Perfect casual confidence in David's. Puppet voices trying to remember how human conversation works. My GPS unit died. Screen went black mid-stride. I pulled it out. Battery showed full 2 minutes ago. Now completely dead. Cold to the touch like it had been sitting in a freezer. My phone was the same. Full battery. Dead. Screen wouldn't even light up. I killed my headlamp and pressed myself against a wide ponderosa, trying to breathe quiet. Moonlight filtered through the canopy in silver patches, enough to see shapes but not details. That's when I noticed the lights. Amber dots drifting between tree trunks. One, then another, then a dozen. Too bright for fireflies. Too steady. They moved with purpose, spreading out in a wide circle around my position. They were surrounding me. I switched the headlamp back on. I shouldn't have. Shapes stood just beyond the beam's edge. 7, maybe 8 of them, tall figures hunched forward, studying me the way a scientist studies a bug under glass, long limbs hanging at wrong angles, joints that bent too many times between shoulder and hand. Their eyes burned orange-red like coals in a dying fire. One stepped into clear view. 7 feet tall, easy, maybe more, hind legs like an elk, massive haunches, backward-bending knees, black hooves sunk deep into pine litter. The torso was almost human in shape, but the skin stretched wrong over the ribs, like someone had taken human flesh and pulled it tight over a frame it wasn't meant to fit. Arms too long by a foot at least, hanging down past where knees should be. Hands with too many joints in the fingers. I counted 4 knuckles where there should be 3. Across its shoulders, hanging loose like a coat that didn't quite fit, was the red hiking jacket I'd found by the lake. Michelle Chen's jacket. Still had the REI tag on the zipper. Its head was the worst part. Almost human face. Almost. The proportions were off, eyes too wide set, mouth too broad, nose flattened like something had compressed the whole skull front to back, but the expression was human. Curious, studying me. It opened its mouth. Jaw dropped lower than any human jaw should go, hinges crackling like green wood in a fire. Michelle Chen's voice came out, perfect in every detail. "Please help me. I'm scared. It's dark. I can't find my family." The thing's mouth didn't move right with the words. The voice came from somewhere in its chest, like a speaker lodged in its ribs. But the tone, the cadence, the little catch of breath in the middle that was Michelle, that was her exact voice from the transmission. Another one behind it spoke in David's voice. "Looks like a good spot to camp." A third in Sophie's. "Dad, something feels wrong." They were taking turns, practicing, learning. I raised the bear spray, hands shaking so hard I nearly dropped it. "Back off! Back off!" The nearest one tilted its head. The movement was smooth until halfway through. Then something snapped audibly in its neck, tendons or vertebrae or something else, and the head kept going at an impossible angle, nearly upside down. Those orange eyes never blinked. It took one step closer. I hit it with the bear spray. The capsaicin stream caught it full in the face. The thing jerked back, making a sound like steam escaping a kettle high, whistling, angry. Its hands came up, those too many jointed fingers clawing at its eyes. I didn't wait to see what happened next. I ran. 3 things saved me that first night. First, I knew these trails. 12 years patrolling Big Bend meant I could navigate by feel, even in the dark. Every switchback, every creek crossing, every false trail that dead-ended in cliff faces. Second, they were still learning, still figuring out how to move through the forest, how to coordinate, how to cut off prey. They were fast, but not quite fast enough. Third, they wanted me alive. I figured that out around mile 12 when one of them had a clear shot at me, came crashing through brush not 10 feet away, close enough that I could smell it, wet dog and rotten meat and pine sap. And it just stopped, watched me stumble away, let me go. They were hurting me, testing me, learning from me. Same way they'd learned from the Chen family. I found David Chen at mile 9. What was left of him? He was still wearing his hiking boots, the ones that matched the pair in the cabin, but the boots were all that looked normal. His body was sprawled across the trail like someone had thrown him there and forgotten about him, face down, arms spread wide, spine bent at an angle that made my stomach clench. But the skin was wrong. It looked loose, like he was wearing a suit that used to fit but didn't anymore. I rolled him over. His chest had been opened from sternum to pelvis, not torn, opened, carefully, almost surgically. The ribs spread wide like a book, organs missing, cavity empty except for dried blood and something that looked like thick mucus coating the inside. His face was intact, eyes open, mouth frozen in a scream. But the worst part was his throat. Something had removed his larynx, cut it out with precision, leaving a neat cavity where his voice box should be. The edges of the wound were clean, deliberate. They'd taken his voice. I had to document this. Had to. This was evidence. This proved what was happening up here. I pulled out my phone, still dead, and tried the camera on my headlamp, the backup recording system. It worked, barely. I took 3 photos, hands shaking so bad I had to brace against a tree. Behind me, something laughed. Not human laughter. The sound started human male voice, David's voice, but then stretched, distorted, became something else, like laughter run through a broken synthesizer. Thomas, the voice called. My name in David Chen's voice. Thomas Covington, parkranger, 12 years service, lives alone, sister in Houston, parents deceased. They'd been through my truck, read my personnel file, learned me. Thomas, don't run. We just want to talk. We just want to help. The voice was closer now, 20 yards, maybe. I couldn't see it in the darkness, but I could hear branches snapping under its weight. I stumbled backward, tripped over David's body, went down hard. My elbow cracked against stone, and white pain shot up to my shoulder. The headlamp flew off, landed 3 feet away, beam pointing into the trees. In that beam, shapes moved. 3 of them, 4, 5, more appearing from behind trees, stepping into the light one at a time like actors walking onto a stage, all wearing pieces of the Chen family's gear. One had Michelle's backpack, another wore Sophie's purple hoodie, sleeves empty, fabric stretched tight across shoulders too broad for any 16-year-old girl. The largest one stepped forward. It wore David's jacket and Sophie's sneakers, one on each hind hoof, laces trailing in the dirt. The visual mismatch was almost funny, except for the part where it was the most horrifying thing I'd ever seen. It opened its mouth at too wide, too flexible mouth, and Michelle's voice came out. Please, Ranger, please help us. They took our voices. They took our skin. We're still here. We're trapped inside these things, and we can't get out. Every word perfect, every inflection exactly right, the way Michelle would sound if she was crying, if she was terrified, if she was begging for help she knew wouldn't come. Behind it, another one spoke in David's voice. We just wanted to go camping. We just wanted to show Sophie the stars. She'd never seen the Milky Way without light pollution. That's all we wanted. I knew it was a lie. I knew these things had killed the Chens, had taken their voices, had worn their skin like trophies. I knew. But the voices sounded so human, so real. And for just a second, I wondered. Then the largest one's chest split open, not like a wound, like a mouth. The skin from collarbone to sternum separated, spreading wide to reveal rows of teeth inside, not human teeth, something else. Something that looked like broken glass and bone fragments arranged in spirals. The teeth clicked together, making sounds that almost formed words. The Michelle voice came from that chest mouth. Help us, help us, help us, help us. The words ran together, faster and faster, until they weren't words anymore. Just sounds, just noise that used to be human. I grabbed my headlamp, got my feet under me, and ran. Dawn saved me. I'd been running, then hiding, then running again for 5 hours straight. The things chased me down to mile 4, then suddenly pulled back, vanished into the trees like they'd never been there. First light was breaking over the eastern peaks. They didn't like that. I heard them retreating, crashing through brush back toward higher elevation. Back toward Golden Pines Lake where the pines grew thick enough to block out the sun. I collapsed against a boulder, lungs burning, legs shaking, every muscle hurt. My elbow was swollen where I'd cracked it, ankle twisted from a stumble in the dark, but I was alive. My radio crackled. Covington, do you copy? Thomas, please respond. We've lost your... Sarah! I grabbed the radio. Nearly dropped it. Sarah, I'm here. I'm at mile 4 heading down. Oh, thank God. Thomas, your GPS went offline 7 hours ago. We've been trying to raise you all night. What happened? What happened? How did I explain what happened? The Chen family is dead, I said. All 3. I found David's body at mile 9. The others. I closed my eyes. Sarah, There's something up there. Multiple somethings. They're not wildlife. They're not human. They took the family's voices. They wear their clothes. Thomas, slow down. You're not making sense. Are you injured? I'm fine. Bumps and bruises. But Sarah, you need to close Golden Pines immediately. No one goes up there. No one. And I need backup. Real backup. People with guns who know how to use them. Silence on the other end. Then, Thomas, I'm looking at the satellite weather data. I sat there against the boulder, watching the sun climb higher. Normal morning sounds were returning. Birds, insects, wind in the scrub oak. The October air smelled like dust and sage. Everything normal. Except I knew what lived in the mountains now. What walked on elk legs and wore human voices. What learned you, studied you, took pieces of you and made them its own. I pulled out my camera, checked the photos I'd taken of David's body. The screen showed nothing but static. 3 photos, all corrupted. Just gray noise with shapes that might be trees or might be nothing. The stakes, I documented same thing. The symbols on the tree trunk corrupted. Every piece of evidence I'd collected was gone. All I had was my word, and the Chen family's boots sitting on that cabin table. The recovery team met me at mile 2. 2 rangers I knew, Marcus and Jennifer, plus a deputy from the county sheriff's office. They had medical supplies, water, energy bars. "You look like hell, Thomas," Marcus said. He was a good guy, 10 years younger than me, still thought the mountains were friendly. "I feel like hell. I drank half a liter of water without stopping. Did you bring weapons?" "Service pistols," the deputy said. His name was Rodriguez, and he looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. "What exactly are we dealing with?" "I don't know. I've never seen anything like it. Multiple creatures, 7 feet tall, elk-like legs, wearing the victim's clothing. They mimic voices perfectly. They took the family's larynxes." The 3 of them exchanged looks. "Thomas," Jennifer said carefully, "you've been up for almost 24 hours, hiking alone at night in the mountains. I know what I saw." "Okay, we're not saying you didn't, but let's get you looked at by medical first. Then we'll organize a proper recovery mission." They didn't believe me. I could see it in their faces. They thought I'd gotten turned around in the dark, gotten hypothermic, started seeing things. "There's a body at mile 9, I said. "David Chen. You'll find him on the trail. And 2 more up at the lake. Michelle and Sophie." "We'll check it out," Marcus said. "But you're coming down with us. That's not negotiable." I was too tired to argue. We found David's body exactly where I'd left it, except it looked different in daylight. The chest wound was still there, ribs spread wide, cavity empty, but it looked older, like he'd been dead for weeks instead of 2 days. The skin had a gray pallor, desiccated, pulled tight against bone, no blood, everything dried out, and his larynx was intact. I stared. It was gone. They cut it out. I saw it. Jennifer knelt beside the body, professional mask in place. She'd seen plenty of death working Big Bend. "Thomas, look at the decomposition pattern. This is consistent with exposure to elements over time. Body temp, lividity, insect activity. This death wasn't recent." "That's impossible. They reported them missing yesterday." "Maybe the timeline is off. Maybe they've been up here longer than we thought." She stood, keyed her radio. "Dispatch, we've located 1 body at mile 9. Male, approximately 40 years old, deceased. Need a recovery team with horses." Rodriguez was taking photos, documenting the scene. Marcus was searching the area for evidence. None of them were listening to me. "The larynx was gone," I repeated. "They took it to steal his voice." "Thomas," Jennifer put a hand on my shoulder. "You've been through trauma. You found a dead body after being lost all night. Your brain is trying to process that. It's normal for details to get confused. I'm not confused. We'll find the others and we'll piece together what happened, but right now, you need rest. They made me hike back down while Marcus and Rodriguez continued up to the lake. Jennifer stayed with me, monitoring for signs of shock or hypothermia or whatever else she thought was wrong with me. We reached the trailhead by noon. My truck was still there, exactly as I'd left it. The Chen family's 4Runner sat next to it, windows reflecting empty sky. A Park Service ambulance waited in the lot. EMTs checked my vitals, blood pressure slightly elevated, heart rate high but not dangerously so, temperature normal, bumps and bruises, nothing serious. "You're lucky," one of them said. "Night exposure in October can kill you out here." "Yeah, lucky." Sarah drove up as they were finishing. She got out of her vehicle fast, crossed the lot in 3 strides, and pulled me into a hug. "You scared the hell out of me, Thomas." "I scared myself." She pulled back, studied my face. "Jennifer says you saw something. Multiple creatures, human voices. You think I hallucinated it. I think you've been working too hard, I think." I drove home on autopilot, 40 minutes through desert backcountry, past the same landmarks I'd passed 1,000 times. My hands were steady on the wheel, my mind was somewhere else. They'd found David's body. That was real. That was documented. But everything else, the things in the woods, the voices, the stolen larynx, that existed only in my head now. The photos were corrupted. The GPS data was gone. All evidence erased except for what I'd seen. And what I'd seen made no sense. My house was small, 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, barely 1,000 square feet. I bought it 7 years ago when property prices in the area were still reasonable. It was 15 miles from the nearest town, 20 from the park headquarters. Exactly how I liked it. I unlocked the door, dropped my pack just inside, and collapsed on the couch. Sleep should have come easy. I'd been up for 30 hours. My body was screaming for rest. But every time I closed my eyes, I saw them. Orange eyes in the darkness, skin stretched wrong over inhuman frames, mouths opening too wide, voices that shouldn't exist spilling out. "Please, help me. I'm scared. It's dark." Michelle's voice. Perfect. Exact. I opened my eyes. The afternoon sun slanted through my windows, painting everything gold, normal, safe. I got up, went to the kitchen, pulled a beer from the fridge, drank it standing at the sink, looking out at the desert scrubland behind my house. My radio sat on the counter where I'd left it. I picked it up, keyed the transmit button. "Marcus, you copy?" Static. Then, "Thomas? Yeah, I'm here. We're at the lake now. Did you find the cabin?" "We found it. Nothing unusual, except..." He paused. "There are 3 pairs of boots on the table, lined up. We're documenting them now." Relief flooded through me. "I told you. The boots. They arranged them." "Thomas, these could have been left by the family. People take off their boots when they're inside, right? Could be completely innocent. Check the cabin floor. Check for..." "We're checking everything. Trust us. But so far, no sign of Michelle or Sophie Chen. No evidence of any struggle. No blood. No tracks. It's like they just walked into the woods and vanished. Because something took them. Something that knows how to cover its tracks. We'll keep looking. Rodriguez is working the perimeter now." The transmission ended. I finished my beer, opened another. The sun was setting, long shadows stretching across the desert, turning everything orange and purple, beautiful in that harsh way West Texas always was. My phone rang. I'd plugged it in when I got home, and miraculously, it had powered back on. The screen showed an unknown number. I answered. "Covington." Silence, just faint static. Then, "Thomas." My name in Sarah's voice. Exactly right. Exact inflection. exact tone. Sarah? Thomas, we found them. We found Michelle and Sophie. You need to come back up here. Now. Something was wrong. I couldn't articulate what, but every instinct screamed danger. Sarah, what's your location? Golden Pines Lake, North Shore. We're at the cabin. Please come. Put Marcus on. Marcus is... he's checking something. Please, Thomas, we need you. I hung up. 30 seconds later, my radio crackled. Thomas, you there? Sarah's voice, but through the radio this time. Slightly different, more static, less clear. I'm here. Just checking in. Marcus and Rodriguez are staying up at the lake tonight. They'll continue the search at first light tomorrow. You holding up okay? Yeah, I'm good. Get some rest. That's an order. The transmission ended. 2 Sarah voices, one on the phone, one on the radio, one asking me to come back to Golden Pines Lake, one telling me to rest. One real, one not. I sat on my couch, beer getting warm in my hand, watching the last light fade from the sky. My phone rang again, unknown number. I didn't answer. It rang 6 more times over the next hour. I didn't answer any of them. At 11 p.m., someone knocked on my door. I froze on the couch. The knock came again, 3 hard raps, knuckles on wood. Thomas, it's Marcus. Let me in, man. Marcus's voice. Perfect. But Marcus was at Golden Pines Lake, 20 miles away, hiking distance. Not driving distance. Not in the dark. Thomas, I know you're in there. Your truck's outside. Come on. I just want to talk. I stood slowly, moved to the window, looked out. A figure stood on my porch. Tall, too tall. The proportions were wrong even in the darkness, arms hanging too low, posture hunched forward. I'm worried about you, Marcus's voice said. Jennifer told me you weren't making sense up there. Talking about creatures, stolen voices. That's not like you, Thomas. You're solid. You're the most reliable range. Let me in, Thomas. Let's talk about what you saw. I believe you. I know there's something up there. I backed away from the window. My service pistol was in the bedroom. I'd cleaned it and locked it in the safe like I always did when I got home. Stupid. So fucking stupid. The knocking came again, harder. The door rattled in its frame. Thomas Covington, parkranger, 12 years service, alone. Sister in Houston named Carla, works as a teacher, married, 2 kids. You visit her at Christmas. You drink Lone Star beer. You listen to Townes Van Zandt when you're sad. We know you, Thomas. We learned you. The door shook harder, wood creaking. I ran to the bedroom, fumbled with the safe combination. My hands were shaking so bad it took 3 tries. Finally got it open, pulled out the Glock 19, chambered a round. Behind me, the front door splintered. Not broke open, splintered, like something massive had hit it, once, twice, 3 times. The wood gave way. I spun around, raised the pistol, aimed at the hallway entrance to the bedroom. Something filled the doorway. 7 feet of wrong anatomy and stolen clothing. It wore Marcus's jacket and pants, but they hung on its frame like a child playing dress-up in adult clothes. Its face was almost human, almost, but the eyes burned orange and the mouth spread too wide. Thomas, it said in Marcus's voice, don't shoot. It's me. I'm still me. You're not Marcus. No, but I have his voice. I have his memories. I know that he respects you, looks up to you, thinks of you as a mentor. The thing tilted its head. Does that make me him? If I remember everything he remembers, think everything he thinks, want everything he wants? Where is Marcus? The real Marcus? At Golden Pines Lake. Learning. We're teaching him. He's doing well. Rodriguez, too. They're both doing very well. My finger tightened on the trigger. Get out of my house. We don't want to hurt you, Thomas. We want to understand you. You're different from the others. The Chen family was easy. They panicked, ran, made mistakes. But you're calm. You think. You adapt. That's interesting. I said, get out. The thing took a step into the room. Its hooves clicked on the hardwood floor. Up close, I could see details I wished I couldn't, the way its skin rippled like water, the too many joints in its fingers, the chest that moved wrong with breathing. We've been here longer than your park service, it said. Longer than the ranchers. Longer than the Apache. We walked these mountains when they were different mountains, when the climate was different, when the animals were different. We learned from all of them. Mammoths, dire wolves, humans. We learn fast. What are you? We don't have a name. Names are human concepts. We just are. We walk, we watch, we learn. It moved closer. And sometimes, when the hunger gets bad, we take. I fired. The shot was deafening in the enclosed space. The bullet hit the thing's center mass, punched through Marcus's jacket, and kept going. No blood, no reaction, just a hole in fabric. It looked down at the wound, then back up at me. When it spoke again, the voice had changed, no longer Marcus's calm tone, but something else, something that sounded like wind through hollow trees. Iron and copper, projectile weapons. We remember these from the ones who came before you. They didn't work then either. I fired again, 3 more shots, each one hitting center mass. The thing walked through the gunfire like I was throwing pebbles. When it was 3 feet away, it stopped, leaned down, bringing that almost human face level with mine. Its breath smelled like pine sap and decay. We could take you right now, it said in Marcus's voice. Take your skin, your voice, everything that makes you Thomas Covington. But we're curious. You survived the night. You understood the stakes, the symbols, the warnings. You knew not to answer when we called. That's rare. What do you want? We want you to understand what we are, what we've been, what we'll continue to be after you're gone and your park service is forgotten and these mountains belong to something else. Its head tilted further, vertebrae popping. We want you to tell others. Spread the story. Make them afraid. Why? Because fear keeps prey away. Fear protects us. The old ones knew this, the Apache, the Jumano, the people before them. They told stories about places to avoid, voices not to answer, woods where humans shouldn't walk. Those stories kept them safe, kept us hidden. The Chen family didn't know the stories, came to Golden Pines Lake because it had a pretty name and good reviews on the internet, didn't listen to the locals who said stay away, didn't see the stakes we left as warnings. I stood in my bedroom for 10 minutes, gun still raised, finger on the trigger, waiting for it to come back. It didn't. Finally, I lowered the weapon, walked through my destroyed house. The front door hung off its hinges, wood frame splintered, lock torn clean out. Cold October air poured in. My hands were shaking again. I set the gun down, grabbed my phone, called Sarah. She answered on the second ring. Thomas, it's midnight. What's wrong? The things from the lake. One of them was just at my house, wearing Marcus's clothes, using his voice. Silence. Then, Thomas, Marcus is at Golden Pines Lake. I talked to him 2 hours ago. He's fine. Call him, right now. Call him and let me hear his voice. Thomas, please. Another pause. Then, okay, hold on. I heard her radio click. Marcus, you copy? Static. Then, copy, Sarah. What's up? Marcus's voice. Calm, normal, exactly right. Just checking in. Everything okay at the lake? All good. Rodriguez and I are bunked down in the cabin for the night. It's cold as hell up here, but we're managing. Copy that. Sleep well. The transmission ended. Sarah came back on the phone. See? Marcus is fine. Thomas, I think you need to talk to someone. Professionally. What you went through. Something's in those mountains. Something that learns people, takes their voices, wears their skin, and it just threatened my sister. Your sister's in Houston. She's fine. Thomas, listen to me. You've experienced severe trauma. You're exhibiting symptoms of acute stress disorder. That's normal. That's treatable. But you need to... I hung up. She was right about one thing. I needed help, but not the kind she was thinking. I needed someone who knew the old stories. Someone who understood what walked these mountains before the Park Service gave them friendly names and marked trails. I needed to talk to locals. The sun rose on another October day. I didn't sleep. Instead, I boarded up my front door with plywood and 2x4s from my shed, packed a bag, and drove into Terlingua, the closest thing Bigbend had to a town. Population 58, most of them old desert rats who'd been here long enough to remember when this was all ranch land. The Silver Spur served breakfast starting at 6 a.m. I walked in at 6:30, ordered coffee and eggs, and waited. Old-timers filtered in over the next hour. I knew most of them by sight, if not by name. Ranchers, retired park employees, a few artists who'd come for the solitude and stayed for the landscape. A woman named Elena ran the place, 70-something, descended from the Mexican families who'd ranched this area for generations. She'd lived in Terlingua her entire life, had seen the park boundaries drawn, had watched tourism change everything. She brought my eggs and sat down across from me. You look like hell, Thomas. Feel like it. Heard about the missing family. Heard you found the father. Sorry about that. Elena, I need to ask you something, and I need you to give me a straight answer, not what you think a park ranger wants to hear. She studied me. What do you want to know? Golden Pines Lake. What do the old families say about it? Her expression didn't change, but something shifted behind her eyes. Why? Because I saw something up there. Multiple somethings, and I need to know what I'm dealing with. Elena was quiet for a long moment. Then she stood, walked to the door, flipped the sign to closed, and came back. My grandmother told me stories, she said. Stories her grandmother told her, about things that walked the mountains before there were names for the mountains, things that learned from watching, things that could wear other shapes if they wanted. Did she have a name for them? Los que caminan con piel prestada, the ones who walk in borrowed skin. Elena leaned forward. The old stories say they're always here, always were, always will be. They don't multiply, don't age, don't die like normal things do. They just are, part of the mountains themselves. How do you stop them? You don't. You avoid their places. You know the signs, stakes in the ground marking boundaries, symbols carved in trees. You don't answer strange voices. You don't go to their lakes after dark. You respect the rules and they leave you alone. And if you break the rules, then they teach you hard way. She reached across the table, put her hand on mine. Thomas, if you saw them and you're sitting here talking to me, that means they let you go. That doesn't happen often. Most people they encounter don't come back. They threatened my sister, told me to keep people away from Golden Pines Lake or they'd go after her. Elena's eyes widened. Then you do what they say. You close that area. You spray. I drove back to the park headquarters around noon. Sarah met me in the parking lot before I'd even turned off the engine. Marcus and Rodriguez are missing, she said. No preamble, no gentle lead-in. Just the facts, delivered in the flat tone people use when they're trying not to panic. My blood went cold. What? They missed their morning check-in. We've been trying to raise them for 3 hours. Nothing. I'm organizing a search party. Don't. The word came out harder than I intended. Don't send anyone else up there. Thomas, we have 2 rangers missing. We have to... They're not missing. They're dead. Or worse than dead. And if you send more people up there, they'll die too. Sarah stared at me. What are you talking about? I wanted to tell her everything. About the things in the mountains. About Elena's warnings. About the choice I'd been given. But looking at Sarah's face, rational, professional, dedicated to doing her job the right way, I knew she wouldn't believe me. Not until she saw it herself. And by then it would be too late. Close Golden Pines Lake, I said. Close the whole western range if you have to. Environmental hazard, geological instability, I don't care. Just keep people out. We can't close an area without justification. We need evidence of danger. We need... 3 dead, 2 missing. How much more evidence do you need? The Chen family died of exposure. Medical examiner confirmed it. David Chen showed signs of hypothermia, dehydration. His larynx was removed. I saw it. The medical examiner says the body showed no signs of mutilation beyond animal scavenging. Thomas, I know what you think you saw, but the physical evidence doesn't support. Then the medical examiner is wrong, or lying, or those things got to the body before it was examined properly. I could hear my voice rising. Couldn't stop it. Sarah, please. You have to trust me on this. I do trust you, but I also have protocols to follow. I can't close a major trail system based on paranoia and trauma response. Then people will die. If Marcus and Rodriguez are in danger, we need to help them. That's not negotiable. I knew that look. Sarah had made up her mind. She'd organize a search party, send good people up into those mountains, and the things up there would learn them too. Unless I stopped it. I'll go, I said. Just me. I know the area better than anyone. I know what I'm looking for. Give me 24 hours. If I don't find them by then, you can send in the cavalry. Sarah hesitated. I could see her weighing options, calculating risks. 12 hours, she said finally. You leave now. You're back by midnight. Radio check-ins every hour. Miss 1 check-in and I'm sending the team regardless. Deal. And Thomas? She put her hand on my shoulder. Be careful. Please. I can't lose you too. I wanted to tell her she'd already lost Marcus and Rodriguez, that they were gone in every way that mattered, but I just nodded and started loading my pack. The drive to Golden Pines trailhead took 40 minutes. The Chen family's 4Runner was gone, impounded for evidence, probably, but a park service vehicle sat in the lot, Marcus's truck. I parked next to it, checked the cab. Empty. Keys still in the ignition. Radio still on, tuned to the park service frequency. Nothing unusual, except Marcus would never leave his keys like that. I shouldered my pack, checked my gear. This time I was prepared: extra batteries, backup radio, satellite phone with fresh charge, 3 days worth of food and water, even though this was supposed to be a 12-hour trip. And the Glock, fully loaded, spare magazines in my belt. Not that bullets seemed to matter. I started up the trail at 1 p.m. The October sun was warm, the air dry, normal hiking weather, beautiful, even. The stakes appeared at mile 3. More of them this time, dozens lining both sides of the trail in perfect rows, all carved to sharp points, all fresh. They hadn't been here 2 days ago. They were building something, marking territory, claiming space. At mile 6, I found Marcus's radio. It sat on a flat rock just off the trail, antenna extended, power light still glowing. I picked it up carefully, keyed the transmit button. Static, then my own voice. Sarah, Covington at mile 6. My voice, exact, perfect. I dropped the radio like it had burned me. Behind me, Something laughed in Marcus's voice. I spun around. Nothing there. Just trees and shadows and afternoon sunlight filtering through pine branches. Thomas, Rodriguez's voice now, coming from deeper in the forest. We found something. You need to see this. Show yourself. Can't. Too far. But come to mile 9. The big ponderosa with the split trunk. Will be wah. Mile 9. The split ponderosa. 2 figures stood in the shade beneath it. Ranger uniforms. Right build. Right height. Marcus and Rodriguez. I stopped 30 yards away. Prove it's you. Jesus, Thomas. Marcus's voice, exasperated. It's us. We found the women. They were hiding in a cave system about a mile north of the lake. Dehydrated, hypothermic, but alive. We got them warmed up, gave them water. But Sophie's ankle is broken and Michelle can't walk. We need a stretcher team. Tell me something only Marcus would know. The figure tilted its head. Your birthday is June 14th. You drink your coffee black. You have a scar on your left shoulder from a mountain biking accident when you were 23. Your favorite Townes Van Zandt song is Waiting Around to Die. Good enough? All true. All things Marcus would know. All things those creatures could have learned from him. Walk into the sunlight. We're in shade because it's hot as hell out here. Come on, man. We don't have time for this. Walk into the sunlight. The Marcus figure exchanged a look with the Rodriguez figure. Then both of them stepped forward, moving out from under the ponderosa's shade. Sunlight hit them and they kept coming. No reaction, no recoil. Just 2 rangers in uniform, walking toward me. For a second, I thought I'd been wrong, thought maybe my paranoia and trauma really had taken over. Then I saw their shadows. Wrong angles, wrong proportions, shapes that didn't match human anatomy cast across the pine needles behind them. I raised the Glock. Stop! They stopped. 15 yards away now. We're trying to help you, the Marcus thing said. There are women dying out here. They need medical attention. Where are the real Marcus and Rodriguez? We are Marcus and Rodriguez. We have their voices, their memories, their training. What makes someone real except the sum of their experiences? You killed them. We learned them. That's what we do. We learn. The Rodriguez thing spoke now. Voice perfect. Inflection exact. We've learned you too, Thomas. You're afraid, but you came anyway. You're loyal. That's admirable. Give them back. We can't give back what we've already absorbed, but we can offer you a trade. The Marcus thing moved closer. There really are women in the cave. Michelle and Sophie Chen. Still alive. Barely. We kept them that way. For you. Why? Because we want you to understand. We're not monsters. We're survivors. We adapt. We've been doing this for thousands of years, learning from the dominant species, taking what we need, staying hidden. It's elegant, natural, no different than any other predator. Predators don't talk. Orcas have language. Dolphins communicate complex ideas. Elephants remember. We're just further along the evolutionary chain. The thing smiled with Marcus's face. We want to make you an offer, Thomas. Come with us. See the women. Bring them down safely. And in exchange, we'll leave your sister alone. We'll stay in our mountains. You stay in your world. Everyone survives. And if I refuse, then we visit Carla tonight, and Emma, and Ethan. The smile widened. Children learn even faster than adults. Their voices are so pure, so innocent. We've always wondered what it would be like to wear a child's skin. Rage flooded through me, hot and immediate and overwhelming. I fired. The bullet caught the Marcus thing in the chest. It stumbled backward, looking down at the wound with something like curiosity. Then its chest opened. Not like before, not splitting to reveal teeth, but peeling, the skin separated in strips, pulling back to show what was underneath. Not organs, not bones, something else. Something that looked like translucent muscle wrapped around a frame of cartilage that bent in impossible directions. Inside that chest cavity, embedded where a heart should be, was Marcus's face. His actual face, skin and features intact, eyes open, mouth moving. "Help," the face whispered. "Help me. I'm still here. Thomas, I'm trapped. I can feel everything they feel, think everything they think. I'm drowning in their mind and I can't get out. Please, please kill me." The chest closed. The Marcus thing straightened. "See," it said. "We don't kill. We incorporate. He's still alive, still conscious, just part of us now. That's mercy in its way." I shot it again, 3 more times, each bullet punching through flesh that wasn't flesh, hitting nothing vital because there was nothing vital to hit. It walked through the gunfire. When it was 5 feet away, it stopped. "Last chance, Thomas. Come with us. Save the women, or watch your family die." I lowered the gun. Not because I believed it, not because I was giving in, but because I needed a different weapon. "Take me to them," I said. The Marcus thing's expression didn't change, but I could feel its satisfaction. Smart choice. It turned, started walking north off the trail. The Rodriguez thing fell in beside me, flanking. "They're about a mile into the backcountry," Marcus's voice said. "Cave entrance is hidden. We almost missed it, but we heard them crying." We walked in silence. The October afternoon was fading toward evening, long shadows stretching between pines. I calculated distances, estimated time. 12-hour deadline meant I had to be back at the trailhead by 1 a.m. Sarah would send the search party if I wasn't, which meant I had to end this before then. The terrain roughened. We left the established trail system, pushed through thick underbrush, climbed over deadfall. The things moved through it easily, their elk-like legs navigating obstacles that made me stumble. "Why keep them alive?" I asked. "Michelle and Sophie, why not just learn them like you did Marcus and Rodriguez?" "We were going to," the Marcus thing said. "But then you survived, and we realized you might be useful. Leverage is always valuable. You've been planning this." "We've been planning since you first stepped on the trail 2 nights ago. Every choice you made, we watched, learned, adapted. That's our strength, Thomas. We're always 3 steps ahead." We came to a limestone outcropping, massive boulders piled against the mountainside. Between 2 of the largest rocks was a gap, narrow, dark, barely visible even in good light. "In there," the Rodriguez thing said. I clicked on my headlamp, peered into the gap. The beam showed a descending passage, walls slick with moisture, air cold coming up from below. "After you," I said. "We'll wait here. Keep watch. Take your time." They wanted me to go down alone, wanted to isolate me from any possible backup, any witnesses. I checked my radio. No signal this deep in the backcountry. "I'll be right back," I said, and squeezed into the gap. The cave system opened up quickly. The narrow entrance gave way to a chamber maybe 20 feet across, ceiling high enough to stand upright. My headlamp beam caught formations, stalactites, flowstone, pools of standing water, and in the back corner, 2 figures huddled together. Michelle and Sophie Chen. They were alive. Michelle looked up when my light hit them, throwing up one hand to shield her eyes. Her face was gaunt, cheekbones sharp, lips cracked from dehydration. Sophie lay with her head in her mother's lap, barely conscious. "Oh, thank God." Michelle's voice was barely a whisper. "Please, please help us." I rushed over, pulled out my water bottle. "I'm Thomas Covington. Parkranger, we've been searching for you. Michelle drank like she'd been dying, which she probably had been. 3 days without water in October mountains. They were lucky to be alive. My daughter, she said when she'd had enough. Sophie. She needs water. Her ankle. I know. I'll get her stabilized. Then we're getting out of here. I helped Sophie drink, checked her pupils, her pulse. Weak, but steady. The ankle was badly swollen, probably fractured. How did you end up here? We ran. Michelle's voice broke. From those things. David tried to fight them. They took him. Sophie and I ran, found this cave, hid. They kept calling to us in David's voice, trying to make us come out. We didn't. We stayed quiet. Smart. Smarter than most people would have been. Is David? Yes. I'm sorry. Michelle closed her eyes. Tears ran down her face, but she didn't make a sound, keeping quiet even now. Survival instinct ingrained after days of hiding. My phone, Sophie whispered. Tried to call. Wouldn't work. Electronics die around them, I said. Something about their presence, I don't know. But we're getting out now. I can carry Sophie if we move carefully. They're still out there, Michelle said. I can hear them sometimes, moving around above us. They know we're here. Yeah, they do. I helped Sophie into a sitting position, assessed the best way to carry her. Fireman's carry would work if the passage wasn't too tight. Otherwise, I'd have to drag her, which would be agony on that ankle. Mrs. Chen, can you walk? I can try. Good. Stay close to me. Keep quiet. I know the way out. I didn't mention that the things that had been hunting them were waiting just outside. Didn't mention that they'd kept the Chens alive deliberately, as bait. Didn't mention the choice I was facing. Because I'd already made my decision. We moved slowly. Sophie gritted her teeth against the pain. Didn't cry out even when I had to maneuver her through tight spots that twisted her injured ankle. Tough kid. Tougher than most adults I knew. Michelle followed behind, one hand on my pack for goo. I'd palmed it from my pack back in the cave, used my body to hide the action while I was checking Sophie's ankle. Standard equipment for emergency signaling. Magnesium core, burns at 1800 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 minutes. I'd lit it and tossed it into the Marcus thing's chest in one motion. The reaction was immediate. The thing shrieked not in Marcus's voice, but in its own voice. A sound like metal scraping over bone and staggered backward. Flames erupted from its chest where the flare had lodged, magnesium burning through the false flesh, exposing the structure underneath. It wasn't burning like organic material. It was burning like resin, like sap, like plant matter. The Rodriguez thing lunged for me. I dodged, swung my pack hard into its face. It stumbled. I grabbed Michelle's hand. Run! Now! We ran. Sophie bouncing in my arms, Michelle right behind me, crashing through undergrowth as the sounds of burning and shrieking filled the forest behind us. We made it half a mile before they caught up. Not the Marcus thing and Rodriguez thing, those were still back at the cave entrance, burning, but others, 4 of them melting out of the trees, surrounding us in a loose circle. I set Sophie down carefully, pulled the Glock. Mrs. Chen, take Sophie, keep moving downhill. The trail is about a 1/4 mile that way. I pointed. Don't stop. Don't look back. Get to the trailhead and drive. The truck's unlocked, keys in the ignition. What about you? I'll be right behind you. It was a lie. We both knew it. Michelle hesitated, then grabbed her daughter, started half carrying, half dragging her downhill through the trees. I turned to face the circle of things. They were all wearing pieces of the Chen family's gear, David's jacket on one, Michelle's backpack on another, Sophie's purple hoodie on a third, like trophies, like mockery. That wasn't smart, Thomas, one of them said in David Chen's voice. You broke the rules. We offered you a deal. Fuck your deal. Your sister will die for this. She won't. Because I'm going to make you famous. I pulled out my phone miraculously, still working, probably because the main concentration of creatures was here, not wherever my phone was registering. I held it up, started recording video. I'm documenting this, recording everything. When I get down this mountain, I'm sending this to every news station, every Park Service office, every folklore researcher in the country. You wanted to stay hidden? You wanted people to forget? Not anymore. The things went very still. You're bluffing. Try me. I kept the camera pointed at them, getting clear shots of their anatomy, their stolen clothing, their orange eyes. The Chen family will get justice. Marcus and Rodriguez will be remembered, and everyone will know what lives in these mountains. You'll have attention you can't imagine. Researchers, hunters, military. They'll tear this range apart looking for you. We'll kill you before you can send it. Maybe, but the video uploads to cloud storage automatically. It's already out there, already backed up. Kill me and it becomes evidence of my murder. Makes the story even bigger. I was lying through my teeth. My phone didn't have cloud backup out here. No signal meant no upload, but they didn't know that. The things exchanged looks. I could see something passing between them, communication, maybe, decision-making. You're forcing our hand, one finally said in Michelle's voice. We didn't want this. I don't give a shit what you want. Then we'll have to relocate, find new territory, new hunting grounds, somewhere without park rangers, without tourists, without cameras. It tilted its head. But first we'll finish what we started. Your sister, your nieces and nephew, everyone you've ever cared about. We'll learn them all. We'll make sure you know it was because of your choice. You won't make it to Houston. Won't we? We've walked from Canada to Mexico. We've crossed oceans on ships, hidden in cargo holds. We've moved through human civilization for centuries and you never knew we were there. What makes you think we can't reach one small house in one small city? It had me. It knew it had me. I lowered the phone. Delete it, the thing said. Delete the video, and we'll consider your sister off limits. How do I know you'll keep your word? You don't, but it's the only offer you'll get. Behind me, downhill, I heard an engine start. Michelle had reached Marcus's truck. They were getting out. 2 saved, 3 dead, Marcus and Rodriguez gone, David Chen gone. And me, standing here with a choice that wasn't really a choice. I deleted the video. The things watched, those orange eyes unblinking. Thomas, come in. We need to debrief. We need to... I'm closing Golden Pines Lake. Permanently. Environmental hazard. Unstable terrain. Dangerous wildlife. I don't care which reason we use, but no one else goes up there. We can't close an area without proper... Then I'm quitting, and I'm going to every news station I can find and telling them what lives in those mountains. I'm making it public, making it real. And the Park Service will have to respond. Another long silence. Don't quit, Sarah said finally. I'll find a reason to close it. Give me a week. But Thomas, when you come in, you're talking to counseling. That's not optional. Deal. I drove home in silence. My house still had a shattered front door. I'd fix it in the morning. Instead, I collapsed on my couch with a beer and my phone. Called my sister. Thomas, it's almost midnight. What's wrong? Just hearing her voice alive, safe, real, nearly broke me. Nothing's wrong. I just wanted to check in, make sure you're okay. I'm fine. Kids are asleep. James is working late. Normal Tuesday night. Why? No reason. Just had a long few days. Needed to hear your voice. Okay, weirdo. You feeling all right? Yeah, I'm good. Hey, Carla? Yeah? Do me a favor. Next few weeks, keep your doors locked at night. Don't answer the door if you don't recognize who's on the other side. And if you hear anything weird outside, voices, sounds that don't match what you're seeing, call the police immediately. Thomas, you're scaring me. I'm just being paranoid. Occupational hazard. But humor me, okay? Okay. Door's locked. Don't answer strange sounds. Got it. Thanks. Love you. Love you too, weirdo. I hung up. The beer was warm, but I drank it anyway. Sat in my broken house and watched the desert through my windows. Nothing moved out there except wind and tumbleweeds and the occasional jackrabbit. Normal. Everything normal. Except I knew what was in the mountains now. What had always been there. What would always be there. Los que caminan con piel prestada. The ones who walk in borrowed skin. They let me go. Let me save 2 people. Let me live. But I'd remember. Always remember. Marcus's voice saying, help me. I'm trapped. Rodriguez's shadow falling wrong across the pine needles. David Chen's empty chest cavity. The things wearing human faces, learning human voices, becoming something that was almost but not quite people. I finished my beer, got another. The night stretched on. 3 weeks later, Golden Pines Lake was officially closed. Environmental hazard, unstable terrain, ongoing investigation. The signs went up, the trail was blocked, rangers patrolled to make sure no one tried to sneak in. Michelle and Sophie Chen recovered, physically, at least. They gave statements about getting lost, about hiding in the cave, about surviving on rainwater in desperation. They didn't mention the things, didn't mention the voices, didn't mention what had really happened to David. The official report said David Chen died of exposure and animal scavenging. Michelle and Sophie didn't contradict it. Marcus and Rodriguez were listed as missing, presumed dead. Memorial services were held. Families grieved. Life went on. I kept working, kept patrolling, kept my head down and did my job. But I knew. And they knew I knew. I saw them sometimes, just glimpses, shapes moving between trees at the edge of my vision, orange eyes watching from ridge lines, shadows that fell wrong in afternoon sun. They were keeping their distance, keeping the bargain. As long as I kept people away from Golden Pines Lake, they'd leave my sister alone. As long as I maintained the fear, spread the stories, kept the warnings alive, I'd become what they wanted, a storyteller, a warning, a keeper of old knowledge. Los que caminan con piel prestada had been here longer than me, would be here long after I was gone. All I could do was make sure fewer people learned that lesson the hard way. That's enough for tonight. My hands are tired from writing this. My eyes are tired from seeing it again. The mountains are still there. The things are still there. And sometimes, late at night, I hear my phone ring with unknown numbers. I don't answer, because I know whose voice would be on the other end. Folklore note. The mountains of West Texas have been home to people for over 10,000 years. The Jumano people hunted and gathered in the Chisos Mountains long before Spanish settlers arrived. Later, the Apache and Comanche used the ranges as hunting grounds and sacred sites. The Anglo ranchers who came in the 1800s learned quickly that certain places had rules, certain canyons were avoided. Certain lakes were left alone after dark. The Mexican families who ranched this land for generations passed down stories about los que caminan con piel prestada, the ones who walk in borrowed skin, shapeshifters, skinwalkers, voice stealers. Every culture that lived in the Chisos had a name for them, had warnings about them, had traditions about how to coexist. The common threads across all the stories. They lived in remote places. They learned from watching. They could mimic voices perfectly. They wore the skins and clothes of their victims. They marked their territory with stakes and symbols. They avoided sunlight when possible. They kept their distance if you kept yours. The old families knew not to camp alone in certain areas. knew not to answer voices that called from the woods, knew that some lakes were beautiful during the day but belonged to something else after dark. When Big Bend became a national park in 1944, those warnings became local superstition. The names were changed to sound friendly. The trails were marked with cheerful signs. Tourists came in by the thousands, and people still go missing. Not many, 1 or 2 every few years in the backcountry. Always the same profile. Experienced hikers who went alone or in small groups, who ignored local warnings, who camped in places the old families avoided. Official causes of death: exposure, dehydration, falls, animal attacks. But the locals know better. They've always known. And now you know too. If you ever find yourself hiking the Chisos Mountains, pay attention to stakes driven into the ground. Don't answer voices that sound too perfect. Don't camp alone at pretty lakes with friendly names. If your electronics die for no reason, leave immediately. If you see orange eyes in the darkness, don't run back away slowly. If you hear your own voice calling to you, it's already too late. The Park Service can't protect you from what's always been there. The mountains keep their secrets. And los que caminan con piel prestada keep learning. Well, boys and ghouls, that wraps up another terrific tale from the vault. Ah, poor Thomas. So brave, so stupid. Thought he could save everyone. Thought he could stop the things that have been hunting these mountains since before his species learned to stand upright. But some bargains you can't break, some territories you can't reclaim, and when something knows your voice better than you do, when something can wear your face like a Halloween mask, just how we love it. If this story crawled under your skin the right way, hit that subscribe button. New creature features drop every day at 8 p.m. Central. And trust me, tomorrow's even nastier. Leave a like if you'll think twice before answering strange voices in the woods. And drop a comment. Where are you watching from? What cryptid haunts your neck of the woods? Have you ever heard something that sounded exactly like someone you knew, but wasn't? I'm always hunting for the next nightmare. Remember, if your own voice calls out from the darkness, the things in the mountains have already decided you're theirs. Until next time, kiddies, keep your fires burning and your eyes on the trees. This has been your late night creature feature. I'm Mr. Wendigo, and the mountains are always learning.